Hey everybody. Hi. Hi everybody. Good evening. Okay. All right. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm here while everybody joins. I'm looking to see um I'm looking to see where I can see my comments on Facebook. Last night I had an issue um looking at the viewing the comments, but I should be able to see them now on Facebook. As you guys know, if you're just joining me, I go live on Facebook and Instagram simultaneously. So it's important that I see the comments. Hi, Kenny. Good evening. Just check and make sure that my volume is up. Alrighty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening to the um, and welcome to day two of evening two of my training or conversation with regards to the people's brand, with regards to topics geared towards helping your managers. So let me just go right ahead, jump right in, and introduce myself and let everybody know what I'm doing. My name is Waveney. If you're new here or if you're catching me on the replay, I am a leadership coach. Okay, I help new managers develop leadership influence by mastering their relationships at work and leveraging their communication skills. All right, because as I will discuss over the next few days and weeks, relationships, fostering your work relationships are important, as well as leveraging your communication, working on that. All right. So by day, I am a human resource professional. I'm a director of human resources and the people's brand, the leadership part, the coaching part of it. Um, Specific to new managers. This is my passion. This is my purpose. This is my work here at the people's brand. I also do some um, speaking and training and motivational speaking. I've done that, but what I'm really putting out there, what you will see out there, is really geared towards helping new managers develop because new managers are at risk. Now, if you have not if you didn't join me last evening, I highly recommend that you go back and view the live stream that I did last evening on the introduction, what the people's brand is all about, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this evening, my topic is, where does your focus lie? All right, where does your focus lie? And so, like I mentioned before, new managers are at risk. When you get into that role, when you become a manager, when you become a leader, you are given that position based on, up to that point, based on your competency, based on your experience, based on the fact that you're proactive, you're great at what you do, and someone saw the potential. But what got you there won't get you to the next level. And when people get into that role, they don't really know what to focus on, right? They focus on different things instead. Now, I just want to put something out there. Um, if you see me looking left or right, I am going live simultaneously. So I am trying to make this approachable and as friendly, as digitally friendly as possible. So I'm looking at my camera on Instagram, and I'm also looking into the camera on Facebook to make that connection. Okay. So just so you know. So when people get into that role, their focus is usually all over the place or on certain things that really don't add value at that point in time. Okay, they don't add value at that point in time. And I'm going to run through um, a few things that leaders tend to focus on, right? And if you are joining me and you are new in a role, you're new in a position, or even for those people who are transitioning from one career to the other, this will help you, okay? Or even if you want to get into management, this series will help you. So, new managers often, a few things. New managers get into the role and their focus is on learning the job. Okay, their focus is on learning the job. And you might say, well, Waveney, there is nothing wrong with learning the job, right? There's nothing wrong in learning the role. That is absolutely correct. There's nothing wrong with it. But they tend to spend so much time wrapped up in knowing every single thing about it. I am sure many of you have had leaders that they're new to the organization, they're new to the team, and they spend the time nitpicking, picking apart every single thing that you're doing. And it is the intention in which you're doing to the point where they're frustrating the team. Does this make sense? Has this ever happened to you? Let me know. Just drop an emoji in the comments, drop a Y in the comments for yes. If this has ever happened to you, they just spend time nitpicking. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, but to the point of frustration. They may also spend a lot of time in their office, right? In their offices, head down, just focusing on what they need to do. Okay. And this is primarily because they're still stuck in the old way of thinking and being and doing. Okay. So that's one thing that they do. Spend time in just trying to learn the job, right? And a lot of it could be like reports that they need to do. I need to learn how to do this report, or I need to learn how to do what Mary is doing and Tom is doing. And a lot of people feel like managers are supposed to know every single thing that they're supposed to know how to do every single job. That's not true. That's not always true. Okay, they need to have a great idea and depth and knowledge of what people, but they don't need to know. There's some reports that you don't really need to spend time on. You need to know the key things about each uh, role and position that you need to know. For example, a report, you need to know probably how to run it, or who's the backup person, or how to check for accurate, if it's accurate, those types of things. But to know every single thing is not necessary. So another thing that new managers spend time on is asserting their authority, right? They need to let everybody know that they're the manager, and you will know people, thanks, Allison, you will know persons who do this because every single thing out of their mouth is that, well, I'm the manager, or I'm the director, or it's a I thing. It's I. All right. And so they spend a lot of time making sure that people know that they're in charge. You've been doing, sometimes the team members, they're doing what they've always done, and they get upset. Why did you send that email? I am the manager. I'm supposed to know. I want to see everything. right? And you have those types of things going on. And so that is where their focus lies, right? There's some, there are others that they spend time focusing on a particular issue. So many times you go into the interview or before you get the job and they hire you, and management, up senior management wants you to fix a particular issue, but you spend all your, and that's great, that's okay, because that's a focus area, and that's some sort of direction. But you spend all your time just really with your blinders on, just fixing this one thing, when there are other things at stake and at play, and other factors that really determine your success. So do where does your focus lie, right? Some others, they focus on changing things up because they want to look good, right? They want to go in and they want to focus on the low hanging fruit, as we call them. So they go in and they're like, okay, I want to make my pack within X amount of time, and I'm going to change all this. This is a quick win. This is a quick win. And they focus on that. And that's purely driven by ego, purely driven by ego, because you want to look good and you want to shine. And you've heard me say, and if you haven't, your work is done through people. As a leader, your work is done through people. You're not a one man show. Newsflash, you're not a one man show. You're not going to get the success that you want by solely focusing on asserting yourself as a manager, trying to outdo, outprove your predecessor. That's another thing. Ego, pure ego. And there's a really cool book by Ryan Holiday, and it's called Ego is the Enemy. Ego is the Enemy, and I highly recommend that, if you know, that you read it. As a matter of fact, I recommend it within my coaching program. At the end of each module, I recommend books for my clients to read, and that is one. Ego is the Enemy, really great read. So this is where new managers spend their time. The problem is you start to get resistance. I'm going to go into a few more after this. But after a while, after a few months, you start to get resistance as the new person, right? People are not speaking to you. They barely say anything to you, maybe just the pleasantries, good morning, good afternoon, what have you. Um, you enter a room, they stop talking. You feel that resistance from the team. You have to ask for stuff more than once. There is an issue and you don't know what it is. What would take you um, a month to achieve, you're not getting that result. And so you think the problem is the other people. You think the problem is that you have inherited a really bad team. You think the problem is the organization that you've gone into, and that is not necessarily the case. Your focus is in the wrong place, and because your focus is in the wrong place, you're pissing people off. You're not seeing what you're supposed to see. You're not doing what you're supposed to do, and you're not yielding the results that you need to yield, right? You're not driving those results. You're not getting them. You're not getting that success. And the people that follows the people's brand, if you're listening, you are driven and ambitious. That's how you got to that point, right? You're driven and ambitious and you want to leave a mark and a legacy, but you are stumped because you have absolutely no idea what is going on, because your focus is in the wrong place. The other areas of focus that new managers often uh, focus on is they want to prove that they could do the job. And in proving that you could do the job, underlying that is fear. It comes from fear. You want to prove. Every time we want to justify, over explain, it comes, you really have to examine it, because most of the time It's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place where you're thinking that you're not good enough and you have to prove yourself. I know certainly in my career, I was passed over many times for promotions, and I was told I needed to do this, I needed to do that. I needed to have all these things. And the truth of the matter is, I really had to, at one point, really take a look at myself, because all that feedback and all that junk, some of it well intended, some of it just really wasn't the truth, right? I really had to look at all of that, because I found myself trying to prove myself, going into jobs and trying to prove myself and trying to, show that I could do it when I really didn't need to. I just needed to shine. And so many of us have that issue. All we need to do is to shine, because we're already great. We were hired for a particular reason, because we're great at what we do. Our focus just needs to shift. Okay. And I'm going to help you with that. This is why the people's brand exists. So when you focus on trying to prove yourself, um, you can do a number of things. I mentioned it before. You can change things really quickly without even asking questions, finding out why. When you're trying to prove yourself, sometimes you're trying to impress senior leaders or your immediate, the person that you report to, your boss. And so you're stepping on toes, not realizing that you are a part of a team, and your team is the one who will help you get that success. You're still in the mindset, that mindset of not being a leader, that non-manager mindset, that individual contributor. That's the word that we use, the term that we use, the individual contributor mindset, where you um you think that your success depends on you alone. Newsflash: if nobody told you, that doesn't work. When you are a leader, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Your success depends on the people that you work with. All right. And even if you are, because there are some positions where leaders, they don't have a team, but they work a part of a team. The fact of the matter is, you're working with people. So you're trying to impress your boss. Okay. You're focusing on parts of the job that is very irrelevant. They're irrelevant. Okay. For example, I'm going back to the reports thing, that, you need to know how to do this particular report. Leave that to the people who on your team, who are the reporting gurus. Okay. You just need to understand a few things on the back end. And so that is your problem. Your problem, you think it's other people, it's not you, it's this, it's that, it's the weather, this, the organization, thanks, Ali, set you up for failure. But you're really setting yourself up for failure. And you're doing that because you don't have the proper support, tools, or resources to be successful in your role. Not to worry. You have me at the People's Brand. That's why I'm here. Okay. Um, if this makes sense for you, if this is you, if you're currently going through this, put an emoji in the comment, in the chat box, in the comments. Let me know. So, what do you need to spend time on? What should you be focusing on? How are you going to be successful in your role? Okay. So, you need to focus on, and I'll wrap it up nicely in a few minutes. Your time should be spent on learning the culture of the team. If if you're new to the organization, or even if you got promoted, you need to focus on, you need to understand the culture of the organization for which you work. And that is important. There's a saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I've seen that firsthand. And all that really, let me just veer off that a topic really quickly and explain this. All that means is, you could have the best goal setting. You could be a master achiever. You could have the best success ever, right? But if you don't understand and get a handle on the culture of the organization or the team that you are going into, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. Trust me. Because you are going to be pushing against something, an invisible force, which is the culture, and you will have absolutely no idea why. Yes, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You will have absolutely uh, no idea why. And I've seen this so many times in my role as a human resource professional, living on a small island. I've seen we have a lot of expats that come in, and if you've not heard that term before, many people haven't. It just simply means foreigners coming in. I don't like the term foreigner because it just sounds icky, right? So we have a lot of expats coming in, and you see it. People coming in are gung ho. They want to do what they want to do. They don't understand the culture, Caribbean culture, the culture of the island, the culture of the community, and you could forget about in the Caribbean. Even if you go to a place, any place, the culture is different. And so it's really important that you spend time understanding the culture of the team and the culture of the organization that you work for. And before you became a manager, if you're not aware, highly aware, you're not going to spend time thinking about things like culture and all of that, right? You're not going to spend the time, but you need to pay attention. So if you're on this live stream right now, or you're catching me on the replay and you know you want to be a manager someday or get into leadership someday, you need to pay attention to this and take some notes. You need to understand the culture. Um, you need to spend time looking and understanding the history of the team and the company that you work for. And I'll tell you the reason why. You need to understand why people do things a certain way. Sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes you might come with your plan, but they've already done that. Sometimes there's something is broken, a process is broken, a machine is broken, uh, there's an underlying issue there, and you're implementing a particular plan and it doesn't work because there's history there. You need to find out the why of a thing. And so, really, you need to be asking questions, not in an annoying, frustrating way, but from an angle of, listen, I want to learn, let me know, because I want to support you. I want to know because I want to support you. That is what you really should be spending time on. So why to do a thing? You need to understand who are the key stakeholders. You need to understand the people on your team. Who are the the leaders of the pack on your team? I don't want to use the word troublemakers. There's another term I want to use, but the leaders, because people tend to use the word troublemakers for people on a team that have natural leadership tendencies, and these are the people who can help you uh, push the vision forward for the team. So, who are the leaders, natural leaders on your team? You need to know who they are. You need to understand, the different people on your team. You need to understand your boss, who you report to, right? Especially if the person is different from your past leader. You need to understand who the senior leaders are. You need to understand the key stakeholders. You need to understand who is important. I am not an advocate for office politics, but it exists. And you need to understand who the players are so you can know how to navigate the political path, right? The political path of the organization. Okay? You need to know who have clout in the organization, as we say. So these are the things that you need to spend time doing, and you need to understand what the vision and goal is really about. These are the things where your focus uh, should be your focus. These things should be your focus. And so you're probably thinking, well, Give me a minute. I'm looking at my notes. You're probably thinking, well, how do I know all of this? This is a huge list, which is why, which is why your focus should be on three areas. If I had to wrap it up really neat and nice, I will put it into three areas, right? Three areas. Well, let's say four for the sake of it. Three main areas and one area. You need to focus on communication, your communication. You need to focus on that. How you communicate, how you come across to people. Okay. You need to focus on your relationships, the interpersonal skills. You need to focus on your influence. How will you influence the team? You don't want to be one of those leaders who want to drop that they're the manager. Any second they want something done. How are you leading? That isn't even leading. That isn't even leading, right? It makes no sense. It makes you work hard. You get all that resistance. You're stressed and frustrated. You're thinking the problem is other people when really the problem is you. The problem is you because you don't know what to focus on. Okay. And then, so your communication, your work relationships, your influence, and lastly, your competence. Because yes, you do need to understand your role, but you need to understand the job of a leader. You need to understand what is expected of you. You need to understand the critical elements of the role. But as I mentioned before, people don't focus on that. They focus on irrelevant parts of the role. But mainly your communication, your relationships, your influence. That is what you should be focused on, right? And your focus, if you think about those three as three separate boxes, everything that I've just said about culture and strategy and um, history and learning this and knowing that, it could be found in each of these boxes, right? Because you need to be communicating well to get the answers that you need. You need to gel with your team so you could push forward and you could get the success that you need. You need the influence so that you can um, inspire your team, that you can move things along in your organization, not just with your boss, your senior leaders, but the peers, the other people in the organization, with the vendors, with the service providers. You need all of that. All right, because when the deeper that you get into management, the higher up you go, if you want to climb it, right, you're going to understand that the relationship is key. Maya Angelou said, and it is the absolute truth, that you may not always remember what people said, but you will always remember how they made you feel. And that is key. Okay. And so, really, what I'd like for you to do, what I've done is I have a free guide. Let's start with, let me share with you the free guide. The first element, the first tip on it is your vision. You need to understand the vision of being a leader. So there's a free guide on Facebook. There is a link that is showing up. So you can click on that link and download your free guide. If you want to be a better manager, it just gives you a quick uh, overview of areas that you should be focused on. If you're on Instagram, then obviously you go to the link in my bio and you will see it, 6 steps on becoming an influential leader. And it will give you an overview, it'll give you a head start. But I really hope that this puts it into perspective. The problem is not the other people The problem is not the organization. The problem isn't that so much that you don't have the tools and resources to do what you need to do. That might be it. But a lot of the times, many times, it is the fact that people don't focus on the right things. The focus is all over the place and on irrelevant things and on things that cannot move the needle for them. Remember, last night I mentioned to you that new managers fail within the first 18 to 24 months of being in a role. They fail for that. And I see one of my followers just joining me, and she has what do you call it, a business. So even if you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you go into business, right? You have a high staff turnover. Why is that? It's because your focus, even as an entrepreneur, you need to build those relationships. You need to focus on your communication, leverage that your communication, understand how you come across, build a relationship with your employees, right? So that they can drive your vision forward. All right. So thank you for joining me. I really appreciate having you on this live stream. If you have any questions after the fact, please feel free to send me a DM. If you're just joining the live stream, there will be a replay. You will be able to go back and view this live stream and share the live stream. Share it with a friend who is in a leadership position, who is in a management position, whether it's for a nonprofit or it is for profit. Share it with them. You're going to find something that you could work with, some gems in what I've said this evening. So look at your focus. Be sure to download the guide, and I will see you tomorrow on another live stream. I'll have another topic for you. I'm here up until Thursday, 7 p.m. every evening. It's such a pleasure having you. Thank you for tuning in, and I really appreciate that. Bye. Have a great evening.